Hey guys, Danielle here, and we are in week 2 of our challenge tracker app, Coach Only Challenge Group. And I've been trying to get you guys to get some ideas for posting and for kind of thinking about things to do for your own business, but also to get used to this app a little bit. So again, any feedback that you guys like, don't like, things like that. Personally, I have yet to put the notifications on, so if I forget about it, then I forget about it. So a key thing is to remind your people that they've got to put on the notifications so that every day they're checking in. I know that a few coaches have already posted that they love that they get reminded, right, about having to check in, and it reminds you that your challengers are also going to appreciate that. It's early, so I feel like my words are all over the place. But I wanted to connect today about showing up when another leader doesn't show up. What are you going to do? What would you do if a leader didn't show up? That happens a lot in our business. And everyone has their own idea in their head of what a leader is, who a leader is, how a leader works. And the biggest question that I get from so many coaches is that challenge group. How does it work? How do you do it? What do I have to do? And everything is so specific. And you guys, a lot of people want the specifics and how's it going to work. And I'm going to ask you to dig deep a little bit and kind of blank that mind slate a little bit, that mindset of what a challenge group is or what a leader is, and look into what you believe a leader is, what you would want to see in a challenge group, and then you bring that to your challengers. I always reflect back onto how I started in this business and to what motivated me. And honestly, the day I got the call from Trina being like, hey, what are you doing? I had ordered a diamond pack, which doesn't exist anymore, and I wanted a variety. I love variety. I love change. So many people are like, I need to know what programs are in order to get my clients on them, in order to be able to know how to talk to my customers about them. And this was like the big variety pack. I got P90X, Insanity, TurboFire. It was just a great way for me to get a few programs, to get a few sample products, to get some logo wear, and to dabble into the business a little bit. And she was like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm like doing the coach thing. It's pretty cool. She's like, I had no idea that you actually wanted, to do something with this. That's really cool. And it was my efforts in the beginning, and Trina talks about it a lot before she got into things as a coach and before she started creating content and before she started stepping up as a leader. There were a few people there who were building things before the empire of Team Rockstar Fit began. We didn't have challenge packs. We didn't have challenge groups. We didn't have coach training. And sometimes I almost think it was better. Do I think a lot more people are successful faster this way? Yes. There's more of a system, there's more of a consistency. But I believe back then, a lot of leaders emerged on their own because we had to create without someone telling us what to do. And that's going to be my message to you today. Start creating without being told what to do. If your coach sets up a Zoom time, or if your coach sets up an appointment, and doesn't show up, do you still show up? Right? So, back in the day, I showed up no matter what. And I say back in the day because there came a point that it was like you show up, and other people don't, and it wears at you. And you guys know that, especially as coaches. If you're showing up right now and people aren't, it wears at you. And there comes a point that you show up and people start showing up, and you're like, this is great, awesome, and that momentum goes, and then something happens and those people pull away, or they change direction, or they feel like they can do it better on their own, and that momentum disappears. And all you think in your head is, I gotta start showing up again when no one is showing up. And it's a defeat sometimes. But you have to show up no matter what. And if you keep doing that, your leadership will be there, right? I didn't create my own team page for a while. And everyone has different ideas about what to do. but I showed up in Team Rockstar Fit as if it was my own, right? I showed up, I responded to people's questions, I posted things in there. If I created content, I put it in there. And sometimes it annoyed me when people asked the same question. I was like, that's already there in the files. Like, search a little. Or someone would ask a question and then I would go Google it. And I'm like, freaking A, go Google it. Like, why ask a question that is so easy at your fingertips? Like, the answer was right there, right? So step up as leaders. If you guys are in this group, some of you are just emerging as coaches. So that's awesome that you guys wanted to see what this tracker is about. So many people won't use it because they don't know how, but the only reason you don't know how is because you've never tried it. So don't be afraid to fail. You know, that's one advantage I have. I don't care if I mess up. I don't care if I don't put the best product out to my customer, because to me, putting it out there and then learning what they need helps me. And now maybe I only have 2 or 3 people trying it for the first time, but then I make it better and better and better. So when there's 100 people trying it, 50 people trying it, that it's where I want it to be, right? So I dabble with those few people and say, hey, this is brand new. I'm trying something. I'd love your feedback. I'd love you to let me know how this goes. I step up as a leader, and it hasn't been consistent over the years. It's changed over the years as the business changes too. But I realized that when I showed up, when no one else did, that's when success and change happen. And I see so many coaches defeated. They are defeated from showing up and no one else showing up. If you have a team Zoom and you show up and no one else does, you sit there for that 30 minutes and you give value. You produce. Whatever that Zoom was supposed to be on, you put it out there. If it was a Q&A and no one showed up, well, take some of the questions and answers you've been getting, pull up your messenger and be like, here's a recent question that I got from a coach. Are you thinking this too? Who needs someone on the other end, right? Sometimes we feel like we have to be told what to do, or there has to be so much structure and perfection to it. And the reality is you don't. You're the only person who's going to tell yourself what to do, because no matter how many times we tell you what to do, it doesn't matter. You still have to step up and take action to do just that. So how much easier would it be if you were doing what you wanted and what worked for you and your lifestyle and your team and your mindset and your schedule and where you are at? So take the ideas that are in front of you and run with them. Create your own ideas at the same time. Don't recreate the wheel. Things that are already done, implement, use. It's okay if your people are seeing other leadership. It's better if they're seeing other leadership. You don't want them to just see you. You want them to hear other people's voices and messages. You want them to see what options and opportunities are out there. This went way longer than I planned, but what I want you guys to take away from this is, what are you doing when your leader doesn't show up? Does your smaller team know who you are? Because I know a lot of people on Team Rockstar Fit, the whole 12,000, 14,000, wherever we are now, a lot of people know who I am. Doesn't define me or my coach status, but I consistently showed up. I led Rock the Basics for 30, what was it? Yeah, 3 years, all 13 to 14, 14 to 15, 15 to 16, for 3 years straight. Wait, no, that can't be right. 13 to 14, 14 to 15. Whatever, 2 years straight. But I showed up every Monday. I was on a Zoom. I showed up to everything, and that's when my business grew. I showed up no matter if anyone else did, and because I showed up, I kept my mindset right. I kept my head in the game. I kept my business structured and moving in the structured wrong road. It was structured in the sense that I kept showing up. So you have to show up. What are you going to do if your leader doesn't show up? Are you posting in your team page right now, whether your leader is or not? I have a ton of people that come to me, should I start my own team? Well, why not dabble in our team first? Why not post a few things here and see how they work? If something's missing that you don't like, that I'm not doing as a leader, right? If your leader isn't doing something, then post. I post in Team Rockstar Fit, not as much as I used to. I'm in Dream Big. I post my stuff there all the time. And it is weird sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm stepping on toes or not. You're sharing what works for you. And we want people to be there. If you're a leader that doesn't want other leaders sharing around you, then you need to check yourself. Because if you're not okay with other people sharing with your team and putting their voice out there, because you never know what one person on your team, that fellow leader, will connect with. That might be a coach who would have quit if they didn't hear this message. So comment below, what are you doing to show up as a leader, whether your leader shows up or not? Example, creating challenge groups for the team, posting reminders about team calls, reminders about national wake-up calls, hosting team calls, hosting power hours. What are you doing to show up? All right, guys, happy Wednesday. Let's work it together. Sorry for going a little long. Have an amazing day.